Bitcoin were a normal sort of experiment, then the Bitcoin Foundation would be the sort of driving organization behind it. But because of the interesting and decentralized way that the Bitcoin project as a whole and cryptocurrency in general has come into being, actually the Bitcoin Foundation has only the power that they can attract with their policies and with their stances and with their beliefs. Today, I'm joined by a previous guest on Let's Talk Bitcoin. Anthony Iorio is the executive director of the Bitcoin Alliance of Canada. And, it's very interesting kind of existing in this space where there are no definitive organizations and where kind of if someone has a good idea, you push forward on it. Anthony, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me back, Adam.
Tell me, it's been about, 3 months since we've spoken on the air. Can you bring us up to date on what's going on with the Alliance in Canada?
Sure. We first announced ourselves or first set up the first press releases trying to gather people from across Canada to get on board with the concept to promote Bitcoin in Canada. We wanted to do our whole structure and organization as a very open model. We wanted to really get participation from Bitcoin enthusiasts across Canada in all parts of our setup and our organizational structure. So we spent a few months putting out press releases, getting feedback, collecting a database of people that would be interested in taking board positions or be involved in the voting process for the board. From there, we had 7 board members elected. The board then took over and the election committee disbanded. We then developed 9 different committees. Each committee is led by a board member. I was elected the executive director. And now we're preparing for our official launch to the public next month, since we've got our membership structure and our new Nation Builder website almost completed and ready to go for mid-November.
You mentioned something there. When you put together the alliance, instead of forming it from the very beginning around a core group that you already know of people who you already knew who were involved, you put out a call for participation. Why was that a direction that you chose to go with your process?
I think from seeing how 2 sides had developed when the Bitcoin Foundation first started up, I think that mass appeal is what needs to be centered upon. And I thought the best way to get many people on board, many ideas, would be to get a large participation in the start of the organization right from the beginning and have participation so that afterwards it can't really be looked back as a way where people say, well, why did they come up with this idea? Or how did they come up with this idea? And we did it through communicating out there with the Bitcoin community in Canada, getting their ideas, getting their thoughts, getting them on board. We think having it in the participation nature is something that is beneficial to do right from the get-go.
So in addition to the national chapter, you and I have been having a conversation about international organizations and international structures because you spent some time traveling.
Sure. I've been to 4 conferences this year. I've been down to San Jose, New York, London, England, and recently the one in Amsterdam. At the last Amsterdam conference, there were 2 meetings which garnered together about, 8 different country leaders with the specific task to look at what the foundation is attempting to expand internationally with their affiliate and chapter program and get a consensus and see where people are standing on the approach. I went into it with my board having discussions with the foundation in setting up an affiliate and chapter program with them. So I'd already received the legal document that the foundation had provided us so that we could discuss it and see if we were going to move forward with it. In the meeting, I was really taken aback by a lot of the hostility towards the foundation. Many people there saw it as an American-centric organization that is now just trying to expand internationally, being led by Americans. I was really taken aback by the hostility. It wasn't something that I had heard previously, or at least to that extent, but it did open my eyes and allowed me to do some further research and really see what people are really thinking internationally about the foundation, and perhaps that there is a divide forming and that maybe another solution to international expansion might be the best approach rather than an affiliate or chapter approach that the foundation is taking right now.
So what was the hostility surrounding? Was there a particular issue that's a problem?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was, again, the foundation has been seen from the beginning by a lot of people as a group that announced themselves, that the board of directors came out from an approach that was just this is who we are. And I think that biased the membership right from the beginning. I think it's led to international support perhaps not being so strong. And I think that it's led the membership base to be still much American, many Americans involved. And I think if it does get more international, it's going to take some time to do that. The foundation is looking to expand internationally, maybe to try to garner favor internationally. It might be having the opposite effect, whereby the leaders of these international organizations are just seeing it now as more and more of an American entity trying to spread into their areas, into their into their nations, it could be having the opposite effect of what the foundation is trying to do.
So what is a better way to do this? I'm a member of the foundation. I think that it is easy to, as are lots of people too. I think it's very easy to argue that the foundation is trying to fill a gap that it sees in the market. It's trying to bring people together under one sort of brand so that those people can be represented and have their voices heard. And the foundation is ostensibly trying to represent those voices as best they can. I think the problem here is that there are a lot of different voices and not all of them line up, and some of them are frankly adversarial. So no matter what the decision that the foundation makes, it sort of has to impose its will because otherwise it does nothing.
It's a really tricky situation. It's something I put a lot of thought into to see possible alternatives. I think the foundation has done a lot of great things. I think that the two main concerns people have, how does it become more international? And is it possible to become more international given the initial structure that it started out with? I also think another concern that we're hearing of is the development of the Bitcoin protocol and that maybe having a centralized factor on that the way it stands right now. I don't want to see the point where other organizations just dismiss the foundation and say, forget them. We're going to go our own way. We're going to start our own thing. I think a bridge needs to be developed. I've come up with a few points that I think a solution should come up with. Like, I believe it should involve local and national development. That should be the focus right now. And I believe that the foundation resources should go towards national and local development, however, on a collaboration and independent way, so that they're helping and assisting and in a collaborative method, but they're actually letting these guys stay completely independent, letting them set their own membership structures, not being imposed or having to share membership structures or having to agree to a membership structure that the foundation says this is going to be the membership structure if you'd like to be an affiliate of ours. I think we need a decentralization of the control in as many points as possible. I think we need to efficiently share resource systems. Bottom-up structure should be stressed when feasible, not top-down. I think we need communication with adaptation of best results practices. We need to share things when they're working. We need to share them out there and let people know, listen, I had this model for this meetup idea, or I had this model there. Let's take this idea and run with it, adapt it to your area. But here's the idea, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I think we need to stress mass appeal, adoption, and participation. That should be key. We need to get numbers behind us. The Alliance is working on a free membership strategy in order to get people on board with us in Canada here. Then we'll have a paid structure in order to get voting rights or to get other perks and benefits. And I think what we got to do right now is promote long-term international cooperation, but I think that should be down the road, and that the focus now should just be getting national and local organizations developed, and then we all come together and devise a plan to work internationally, not have one specific group going country to country trying to bring on one group on board, and if they don't like that group or that group doesn't want a part of it, then they're going to find a secondary group which may not be the one that is the best in that country to work with.
I think that's a really interesting approach to it. So basically what you're saying is that it's too early to focus on international organizations. And instead, what we should be doing is having individual nations and individual regions and localities, even, it's not necessarily a national thing, building out robust local and national structures so that at some point those can all join together and opt in to some sort of international organization. Is that what you're saying?
That's a concept that I think would work. I think eventually there should be some type of charter, some type of very loose-fitting agreement that is brought together by a steering committee of 4 different areas of the world, like the Americas, Europe, Asia, Pacific, and Africa, once these national organizations are developed. And this charter could perhaps be so loose-fitting that any organization, Bitcoin or cryptocurrency organization, should agree to. We shouldn't try to get one national organization on board with this. We should get multiple national. Like, there could be 3 or 4. In Canada, we have the Montreal Embassy, which is starting a new organization out there, and they're well-funded. I think that they have a great concept, but it's different than the Alliance. But there's no reason that we can't work together and then all come together on some type of international program as well, rather than just one from each country. I think we need many, many different models, many different structures, see what's working. And it's the goal. It's the role of people like the Alliance and the Foundation to let other nations know their models and let them run with it, let them adopt it. And this is what I think we should just be sending our resources. Contact me if you want to know how we did the Alliance. If you like the process, take it, run with it. And that's the best way I think that it should be handled right now. I want the foundation to, again, I think they're doing an excellent job, but I think they have to listen to other organizations. We have to get a concerted effort together, not just okay, here's the plan for international expansion. This is the way we're doing it. We'll go country to country and work it out, rather than let's sit back, let's have discussions, let's have leader meetings together, and then we'll come up with a plan. But let's, in the meantime, share our resources, share information, share best practices so that we can grow. Because I do believe that's going to be the collaboration effort that we need eventually when other interests try to take hold.
So what comes next? You're about to launch the Bitcoin Alliance of Canada formally. So what's next on the agenda after that?
Next is growing our committees, continue to add the advisors and the volunteer positions to each committee that we have. The next step is planning the conference early next year, the Canadian conference. So that's the next thing that's on my radar that I'll be focusing on. And I'm going to continue this effort here to reach out to leaders across the world that are Bitcoin leaders that would like some assistance in maybe getting a national organization started. I can provide the model that we used. You can take it, do what you wish with it. And I have also modeled local buildings, so the meetup groups and things that I've learned from other people that I'd be willing to share with anybody that would like to speak with me.
So now on that note, on the one hand, you're saying that you're wanting to work with leaders, and then on the other hand, you're saying that you want to talk with everybody, or you're willing to speak with everybody. What does it take to become a leader of one of these movements, and what types of people are you seeing filling these roles?
I think a leader first starts off by somebody saying, okay, I'm going to try to collect some research, see what other people are doing, because I want to expand Bitcoin. I want to either start a meetup in my local area here. I don't know how I should do it, or the processes here. Maybe I'll go speak with someone that's already done it and has a method. I'm willing to speak with anybody that wants to take and get on the forefront of just saying, here, I want to make a push in my country, or I want to make a push locally where I am. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I'd rather see something that seems to be working, that seems to be appealing to a large majority of people. And that's where I'd like to be here, just speaking with people, let them know what I've done. And if you like it, go with it. If you don't like it, or if there's a better way, let's talk about it, and we'll build a better process altogether here. I learned from what the foundation did. If it was for them, maybe I would have done it similar to what they did, but I've learned from what they did from the start. And I think that I've been able to come up with a concept that has a little bit more mass appeal and has a little more international appeal.
So learn from other people's mistakes and successes too, and just start. Is that a good takeaway?
Exactly.
Anthony, what are the contact methods someone can get in touch with you or reach you through?
Sure. My email address is adiorio@bitcoinalliance.ca, which is ADIIORIO@bitcoinalliance.ca. And my phone number is 416-831-9593.
Anthony, thank you for joining us. We look forward to checking in with you again soon on your progress with the Bitcoin Alliance of Canada and this international organization at some point in the future.
Thanks for having me on again.
Thanks for listening to episode 54 of Let's Talk Bitcoin. Content for today's show is provided by Stephanie Murphy, Jordan Kelly, Charles Hoskinson, Jaden Shelton, and Anthony Iorio. Music was provided by Jared Rubens. Any questions or comments? Email Adam at letstalkbitcoin.com. See you next time.
At the moment, we're in the mode that we want to get the tools built to keep this thing open source, help grow Bitcoin, and the investors are basically saying they're in no rush to make a return on this. And we are absolutely planning to explore those avenues, but we really want to have a good product before we start trying to monetize it.
That's Alan Reiner, founder and CEO of the open source Armory wallet. I caught up with him about his ultra-secure but memory-intensive wallet application for episode 55 of Let's Talk Bitcoin. Here's a taste.
I think the most important feature of Armory is the backups. It's kind of difficult to describe, what's really going on under the hood. But the Satoshi client, Bitcoin QT, whatever you want to call it, I wish they'd come up with a better name for that. Satoshi client, their wallet randomly generates addresses. They generate a pool of them. And when you run out of that pool, you have to, it makes more, but it's not deterministic, which means that if you were to restore your wallet to a previous version and regenerate those addresses, you'd get different addresses. And that's a serious problem in terms of backups. One of the things that I think is most important for people's security, both security from other people and security from themselves, is being able to do backups. And people are really bad at persistent backups. So Armory implements a one-time backup system that's as secure as the method that Bitcoin QT uses. And in fact, Bitcoin QT and all the other clients are moving to a similar scheme. Armory has had that for 2 years, where you make your wallet the first time, and then you can print off a sheet of paper, or if you don't have a printer, you can write down the data on the sheet of paper. And that's all you need ever. You can use millions and billions of addresses, send and receive money as much as you want. No matter what happens, that piece of paper will always recover your money.
Why are you able to do this where the Satoshi client is not?
It's not a matter of capability. It's a matter of priorities. It will be a pretty dramatic change for the Satoshi client to implement that, because it involves overhauling their wallet code, which is very, very sensitive code. One of the big things we're working on is we're going to do the hardware wallet integration. We want to be supporting those hardware wallets as soon as they come out.
Tune in for the rest of my interview with Alan Reiner on Friday, the 1st of November with episode 55.
More than 300,000 users and counting trust blockchain.info. It's a Bitcoin wallet service and a wealth of Bitcoin information, and it's completely free to use. With a blockchain.info wallet, you'll get the convenience of a web wallet and the security of a desktop client. Blockchain.info is also a block explorer. You can use it to see Bitcoin transactions in real time, check the balance of any Bitcoin address, and view many handy Bitcoin charts, all for free. See what they have to offer today at blockchain.info.